Welcome to the SJSU Green Campus podcast, a podcast about a range of sustainability and social issues that impact the SJSU campus and the broader community, hosted by the student interns from the San Jose State University Office of Sustainability.
Hello everyone, my name is Griselle and my pronouns are she, her, and welcome to the SJSU Green Campus podcast. Today I'm accompanied by Ashley Merz, owner of the Source Zero, a zero waste shop located in downtown San Jose. As she was in love with nature, animals, and our earth, Ashley always knew she wanted to build a life around these interests. She is a graduate of UC Santa Cruz with a degree in anthropology, bringing together her love of human diversity and connectedness, and also understudy in earth sciences. Source Zero is a combination of her many passions as well as a desire to leave a positive impact on the planet. Today's podcast will be focusing on the zero waste and this creation of this great small business located in San Jose. So hi, Ashley, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, Griselle. I'm well. I'm excited to do this with you. This is fun.
Yeah, so can you give us just a little bit more of a background about yourself and maybe a little background of the Source Zero story in general and how it came to life?
Yeah. So I've been in California in the Bay Area for about 22 years, and I absolutely love it here. I originally came from Florida, Colorado, and then I've been here for the majority of my life. But I really enjoy the diversity of the Bay Area. I enjoy all the food that comes with that as well. But just the open-mindedness, the people, it's such a different place to be. So I'm really grateful that I was able to have a lot of my upbringing in this place. And I live out in the Santa Cruz Mountains. I have for a very long time. So I live like out in nature, off the grid. It's a very different kind of a lifestyle. So it's interesting going from here and down into San Jose to be at the shop. It actually took me some time to adjust to the noise and like the sound of being in a city, but I'm used to it, after 3 years being in San Jose on a regular basis. But and so a background for the Source Zero, it really came about with I have kind of always seen a problem with the insane amount of like disposable plastics and just the disposable culture that we've been really groomed to be a part of as just people alive today, not just Americans, but really how it happened, like doing a lot of research on how that happened to people and how it was like, you're successful if you can throw this away instead of have to clean it. So it really wasn't even until the 70s, like I wasn't alive then, but like just kind of looking back at reading about that, how it happened and the brainwashing that it took to really get people to where we are today, where people don't even really think twice before using a plastic bag or saran wrap and plastic straws and plastic cutlery when they eat out and stuff. And it's really like, if they knew better, like I think that, or if they were groomed differently by society and politics and, whoever is pulling the strings and making the rules, and doing the marketing, should I say, I think that people would have a very, very different like lifestyle. So I just really have a lot of respect for this planet. It keeps me alive and I love all the animals and the creatures on it. And I think that they deserve to be treated with respect. I think the earth deserves to be treated with respect. I've seen also kind of like epidemics of just how much cancers have been happening in like my parents' generation and on, and how that's actually really a big effect of like the body care products we put on our skin, the plastic bottles that we're drinking out of, all these chemicals that we're getting into our bodies, and how it's just so normalized that we don't know it's actually making us sick. So I really started off with my first business was a body care line that was like chemical and toxin free. Because I was suffering with like really bad acne and bad skin problems. And the second I stopped putting these chemical things that even dermatologists recommended to me, the second I stopped putting that on my skin, I stopped breaking out. The second I started putting like whole natural like oils and like shea butters and products on my skin, I got a lot better. I was having a hard time actually paying my bills with just that as my business. So I kind of wanted to incorporate that into something bigger, and I didn't make up soap refill. I basically kind of learned more like about that lifestyle while living in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And there's little like co-op grocery stores that have bulk food produce. And so I still go to Santa Cruz to refill all my food.
Yeah.
I live pretty much halfway between here and San Jose, but and they had like soap and lotion and oils and refills and stuff. So I started doing that, and I just see that there wasn't anything like this in the South Bay. And I live close enough. And I mean, I grew up, in my early 20s going out in San Jose and stuff too. So I'm familiar. I have a lot of friends who live downtown. Yeah. And so I just think it's also it's an affluent area. There's a ton of people. It was just a really great location to have this, and it's a great service to have for people who live around there. That's all a really great like radius of a whole bunch of different cities and towns nearby. It's very central, but I just want people to have access to being able to refill soaps, having access to sustainable products that we don't really see anywhere else. And, like I say, like Whole Foods used to have soap refill back in the day, and Whole Foods has bulk and stuff too. But like a lot of people don't know Whole Foods is owned by Amazon. So really Amazon's like one of the biggest polluters possible. So I'm like, Whole Foods seems like our only option for stuff like that around here, but yet you're supporting Amazon, you're supporting Jeff Bezos when you go there, so that's like frustrating, know? So I just wanted something like a different option that supports a small, like a person, like which would be me in that case, but it's not just me. Like I'd say like 70% of the products I sell at my shop are locally made by different women from around the Bay Area, from like, I'd say from Salinas, Gilroy up to like Oakland. I have quite a few different vendors from Oakland actually as well. So it's almost all women's businesses. There's a couple dudes that are great too that I sell their stuff because they're within the realm of sustainability, but I try to like aim towards women. So it's just it's almost a co-op, but like, it's not quite like a co-op, but there is so many different people's businesses in the shop that it's really supporting so many different local people, which when you support local businesses, that money goes right back into the economy as well.
Exactly. When you were at UC Santa Cruz, was this like where your brainstorming happened, or was it like post-grad when you're like, I actually want to try this and like do it?
It was more post-grad when I actually thought about opening my own business. Like I've had so many different random jobs throughout my adult life because I just want to do so many different things. So it was hard for me to like narrow down an actual career path. And so I think it's really hard for people, especially when you're interested in a lot of stuff too. And and for me, it was also hard working for another person. I have a little bit of a problem with punctuality, which the bosses have a problem with, but B, like, just, I don't like doing the same thing on a day-to-day basis very much. It's hard for me to sit in front of a computer, which is a huge portion of the types of careers that are offered in the Silicon Valley,
of course,
I mean, I had so many, so much. Yeah. And I had so many friends tell me, or not so many, I had a few of my best friends from college tell me like, you're irrelevant if you don't learn how to code. Like you need to like take a coding class. And I'm like, I don't want to be relevant in that way. That's not my calling. That's not my path. I can't code because I will be very miserable, I think, if I was trying, but not that that's not a beautiful path for people who love and enjoy that. My dad was an engineer and he absolutely loved being an engineer. Like he loved the problem solving and the math and everything involved in that. So, I kind of deviated, I think, from your question a bit, but
no, it's okay.
It was more like after college. I mean, in college, I learned about sustainability. I learned about like global warming, more like earth sciences. I actually like really learned this like science behind how the earth works and just kind of how humans are affecting that as well. And it also took a lot of traveling outside of the country as well to kind of really get a grasp on like what was going on in the world and how I was relevant in the world as well. That's kind of
what places did you travel to?
I go to Mexico a lot. I love Mexico. Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines.
Oh wow.
Those are like the main places I've spent like time in and not just like on a little vacation, so I really learned more about like natural medicine in Thailand actually, and medicine gardens, and really kind of decided I wanted to like make a career of like actually making natural organic products while I was in Thailand.
That's really cool.
And I tried that, and it started with me like making my concoctions and people at farmers markets trading me for it for food,
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like so grateful for people like actually taking that chance on me, because it did give me the confidence to really like start making good formulations and actually like making a business with that and like going the further step. And but it was really just like, what do I want to do with my life? I want to kind of combine all these different passions that I have into one career and one business. And I'm great at self-regulating, and I work really well with teams. I've like been a manager in a lot of my positions, and I've become really good friends with like almost everyone I was like the manager of. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I could be a boss. I could own a business.
I can do this.
And so I, basically just kind of like combined a lot of my passions. And I do so many craft fairs with my body care line, and that I met so many different women doing things that kind of meshed with what I wanted to do. And so a lot of the products you find at my shop are basically people I've met at craft fairs and been like, hey, like, let's do a wholesale relationship. And it's worked out really well for all of us.
Wow, that's really cool. So you just build like a community within all the passions that you ended up finding about yourself.
Yeah, I kind of think, I didn't think of it like that, but it has become that for sure.
Yeah. So going back now to sustainability, how could you define what is zero waste, and how could the community contribute to zero waste?
So defining zero waste is hard because honestly, totally straightforward, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
And I call it a zero waste shop because it gives you options for limiting your waste. And some people can be zero waste. Like I'd say like it's 0.1% of the population, probably, those girls you see on Instagram who have like 1 jar of trash for the whole year. Like, that's like a really dedicated lifestyle. And I think that also kind of makes other people overwhelmed and like, oh, I can't do this, So, and kudos to the women who do. I'm just saying women because I haven't seen any guys doing it. I'm sure there's men out there who are doing it too. But, like defining zero waste, it's basically like thinking about what you do, what you buy. Like your dollar is your vote, especially in a capitalist economy. Like your dollar is 100% what you're voting for. I mean, we vote, but we have lobbyists as well and all that. But where you put your money, if you stop buying things in plastic bags, if you shop at farmers markets instead of big chain grocery stores, you're supporting a farmer directly, and that is zero waste that you're going to get. You're bringing your own bags to the farmers market instead of like, I go to farmers markets and people are just tearing off these plastic bags. I'm like, this should be illegal. And I think it should be a requirement of farmers markets to not have these plastic bags.
I agree. I just think it's like, I mean, if you're going to go buy the produce from, like, why don't you just bring your own bags,
It's
like
not hard.
It's
because it's ingrained in our culture that this is what is normal. And this is what people have seen since birth. And so it's normalized. And so changing that habit is difficult for people to remember, even to like bring their produce bags. I remember when people are like, oh, I keep forgetting my reusable grocery bag, and I keep forgetting my reusable water bottle. And, they feel like that's kind of past now. So I'm like, well, let's take it to the next steps. Remember your produce bags, or just keep reusing the plastic bags that you already have.
Exactly.
Like,
save them.
Exactly. Like I don't always have time to make tortillas from scratch. So I sometimes buy them, and you know what? I reuse that tortilla bag for a very long time. Or bread bags, you can't always make your own loaves of bread. So those plastics are going to last forever, for 400 years or something. Like you can reuse it as long as you can until it's gross. But there's also companies that have like recycling options for everything. So there's one called TerraCycle. Because a lot of plastics aren't recyclable and a lot of things aren't recyclable. And I think that's another thing that's really should be in the zero waste definition, is like really learning what is and what isn't recyclable. Yeah. Because so many people are putting trash in the recycling bin, not knowing. And it's not really like public education. Like there's some things I see every once in a while that say like, read this link and find out what is and what isn't recyclable, but it's not always that accessible for everybody. And here's my cat. He wanted to be involved, but it's really choosing what you buy and choosing where you buy it and recycling what you can. And the TerraCycle program has free programs, but other than that, their boxes are pretty expensive. So it isn't really in everyone's budget to be buying a $200 TerraCycle box, and I do because I have it for the store, but because I own a zero waste shop, but there's a ton of packaging that comes sometimes. Like, I mean, it's mostly cardboard and paper.
Yeah.
But every once in a while I order from a company and I didn't really realize how greenwashed it was. And I get stuff sent in air bubbles and I'm like, like horrified when I open it, and I'm just like close it immediately, and I like, you know, throw a temper tantrum in a corner. But like, you know, but then I'm putting it in my TerraCycle box at least, but still like I'm still that plastic's been generated. And it's just really writing a letter to companies when you get something. Like I have been buying stuff from some organic clothing companies for a while, and it's organic cotton. It's supposed to be so great, but every article came in a plastic bag. And so I literally have an email drafted for those things, and I just kind of changed a couple things here and there.
Yeah,
I should make it public for like everyone.
Yeah, anyone can reuse it and like email that out as well, you know. And going back to that thought that you said, like, you know, how society has engraved like this way of us thinking that it's just so normal, like the plastic bags. I think there's like a huge shift, because I mean, I was so much younger, but once I heard like, oh, they're going to be charging for plastic bags now, I was like, why would they charge us for plastic bags? That makes no sense, you know? And it's like, you'd think that like somehow like society would now like adjust to bring in their own bags, because now you have to pay 10 cents for a bag, but I feel like it still hasn't changed, you know?
No.
So,
yeah. I mean, a little bit. I mean, in California, we are in such a bubble too, but we still see it all the time, especially with like the pandemic and everything really got rolled back, and like plastic usage got normalized again, unfortunately. And that, I see it where I'm at, especially with like restaurants. That I feel like the food service industry is really kind of like a really heavy culprit on plastic usage. And it's all like being blamed on the pandemic and like supply shortage. But I know for a fact that there are a lot of companies that do biodegradable food packaging, and you don't have to put everyone's like to-go container in a plastic bag. They can carry it, you know? So it's just, but it's also just like remembering to ask for no cutlery, you know, remembering to say, don't put it in a bag. And those are little steps that like every once in a while, like if I'm kind of sleepy or something else is going on, if I forget to do that, I get it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person, but I'm not. It's so frustrating. And even sometimes I'll say no cutlery like 3 times and they'll still give me plastic cutlery.
Or they still give you the straw without asking.
Like, and I'm like, I don't want this. Can you please take it back? I haven't touched it yet. And sometimes they're like, well, I have to throw it away anyways because it's already been touched. I'm like, you touch everything. Like, just put it back. I haven't touched it. It's just, it's an interesting, like, I have to be a little more delicate with that too, because I think that my aggressive approach sometimes makes people be like, I'm throwing it in the trash can in front of you. So I'm like, no, just give it back. I'll put it in my TerraCycle box. Oh my God. But it's just remembering to like tell them 5 times. And sometimes I show them that I have my own cutlery. And
same.
I'm like, I show it to them and they'll be like, oh, and then like they have a visual representation, they will more likely be less likely to put that. Cats, no, fighting. But it's really, I compost everything that I can compost too. So that's another part of zero waste is composting. And you can have an at-home worm compost bin so easily in an apartment complex. You can do it with 5-gallon buckets stacked on top of each other. And they will compost like your toilet paper rolls and any food scraps and stuff. It's super, that's another really great way to be zero waste, is to just compost stuff. I have chickens, so they do a lot of my composting for me, but I also have like massive compost piles in my, not piles, but I do it in a way that's good for the environment, I promise.
How long have you had, or when did you start composting?
Oh gosh, when did I start composting? I actually didn't even know composting was a thing until my best friend in college, her parents grew up in India and they had a compost pile in their backyard and there was like food growing out of it and stuff. And I was like, what is this? You know, like there's seeds and watermelon vines and they're like, oh, like you don't know what composting is, you silly American. Like, teach me. And they showed me and I was like, well, this is brilliant. Like, I don't understand why I don't know about this. Why didn't my mom know? You know, but I mean, my mom didn't grow up composting with her family. So I took it from there. I think I was probably like 17 or 18 when I learned about composting. Oh, wow. And so I brought it, I did that at home, you know, and I did a lot of disgusting composts though, because there is a fine line between like enough greens and enough browns. And I had some really bad maggot piles. I was like, what's that sound? And it was disgusting. So we won't go there. But yeah, you have to I did a little research. I do it right now, but it's harder when it's at home and when you don't know to throw worms in it too.
Yeah.
And like when you have a forest, like I live in a forest, and it's just so much easier because there's so much like natural microbes and bugs in the forest that just come and eat things that I happen to put in my compost bin. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I've been composting for gosh, a long time now, almost 20 years. Ooh.
Wow, that's so cool. That's one of my goals, to learn how to actually do that.
It's just,
place.
it's a lot of trial and error. And it's okay.
It's a process.
It is for sure. Like literally composting is a process. There's actually a really cool at-home composting machine that's like super expensive now. Out it's by Pella Case. It's like a sustainable phone cover brand, but they made this composting system that you can like compost your kitchen waste within like 3 hours or something.
Oh,
It's
wow.
yeah, you put like the enzymes in it, and it takes power though too. So I'm like, how is it sustainable if you're coal powered? No, but it's pretty cool though. My friend just bought it and she's like so excited about it. I get pictures of her compost all the time that her thing generated and within 4 hours or something.
Wow. Okay, so going back to sustainability, you kind of already answered this question, but any other sustainable tips that you can give to the community to live an eco-friendly life? Yeah.
Just reusing that bag, starting small. I always say like don't jump in and try and be that girl who has 1 jar of trash in a year, because you're gonna just be frustrated. And I think a lot of people I know have like gave up because they tried it that way, because they're kind of personality types are a thing though with it too. Some people are extreme all in, and some people like are easing and gradual and being gentle with yourself. Like I'm not perfect. I literally own a zero waste store, and every once in a while I'm starving and I will buy some food, but I always try to avoid like any kind of plastic clamshells. Also black plastic is like not recyclable in the traditional recycling bins. And I mean, neither are clamshells with strawberries and berries in them and stuff. So that's why I try and go to farmers markets and get those in compostable containers.
Yeah.
But it's every little thing that you do matters, but trying to start small, and like don't just replace something that you already have because you want to get something that's like pretty and wooden and biodegradable. Use what you have first. That's sustainable. You like use it all up and then replace it. Use that shampoo bottle up and then go refill it at a store near you, because there's these soap refill shops are popping up everywhere. It's I'm getting calls like all the time and emails from people who want to open up shops like this like all over the country. And it's not always accessible to everybody, but like, and if it's not, then buy in bulk. Like, look and see if you can buy a gallon from your favorite hair care company, and you probably can. And a lot of people, like salons, have bulk too, and a lot of salons will sell you refills too for your shampoos. Like, especially girls who use like super fancy shampoos, like you can get that in bulk from a salon if you're not finding what you want at a bulk refillery, or if you don't have one nearby. So just and yeah, my other one again, remember to tell them that you have your own cutlery.
Of course.
Over and over.
Don't forget.
Don't forget that.
So when it comes to Source Zero, I've heard that you're expanding the store. So where else have you been trying to expand?
So I would love to have more Source Zeros in the Bay Area. I personally don't want to own them all though, because it's a lot. I'm also trying to license them. So we've basically had our first successful licensed business in Colorado with one of my longtime best friends though. So we're my first experiment with this, but it's doing really well. We opened it the end of last month, and it's a really tiny town though. So it's different overhead, but it's also different sales. So it kind of evens out similar, but it's great because she's the owner of that business. I'm just getting a percentage of her profits, and then she learns all the tax laws in her state, and that's why. But she also is responsible for the business in her own way, and but she also gets local vendors, and she can kind of make it her own thing. So that's why it's different than a franchise, is because you can put your own swing on it and you can make it your own baby, but like with a lot of the same vendors, a lot of the same looks. So I just think that this should be accessible to everyone everywhere. So I've kind of thought about expanding into like the South, or the North Bay. not the East Bay, because the East Bay has quite a few shops like this already.
Oh, cool.
But like Palo Alto is a good zone, I thought.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
South San Francisco-ish, because that's just a little too far for people to travel to San Jose. And people do.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have something more accessible for them there. Yeah, the East Bay has like a few. There's like Re-Up Refill is pretty new.
Oh,
There's the Ecology Center in Berkeley, which is really cool.
nice.
And Re-Up, I think, is in Oakland. I'm not positive on that though. But and I apologize if I'm missing some. I'm sure there's some more. But there's in Santa Cruz has Ethos, and Gilroy has the Filler Up shop. So they're popping up everywhere, and it's pretty exciting. And there's a lot of women, like one of a woman who used to work for me, with me, I should say. She worked at the shop for a while. She is on Instagram. I think it's Auntie Ayana now, but she's made some really cool lists and with maps of all the little zero waste shops in California.
That's really cool.
And I believe all over the country as well. But there are a lot of those out there, so you can find them. There's even a search engine on if you search for you can even search engine for zero waste shops or refilleries, or like and there you can search like what shops are around you.
That's
And
cool. That's a good resource for people, especially for those, because I honestly I only knew Source Zero, and that was like my go. I didn't know like there's other places, so that's really cool. I'll definitely add that link in the description below as well for others to find.
Yeah, I'll have to find it and I can send it to you. Because of this actual search engine too. And then I can find Ayana's cool like maps and like things that she's created, because she does graphic design and stuff. So she's done a lot of work on finding them, and because a lot of them are just kind of obscure. A lot of people are brand new and they aren't out there yet. So I think she kind of takes it on herself to find them and expose them in a good way.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely be a great way to like expand to like San Francisco and Paul, just because it's all tech there too, So
yeah,
it's perfect, like perfect community to get that in.
It is. It's great. There's just a degree of awareness, I'd say, around this kind of community for sure. And in college towns, 100%. College towns are easy to get in. Like, and I'm always like, if you're next to a busy coffee shop, even better. Like every time I do a consult with somebody who wants to open up a store, I'm like, don't open up a store unless you're next to a busy coffee shop on a main drag, but it's accessibility is everything for people. And I just would love to see this concept grow even more, and people just become more aware of what they can do to just make it even a little change, and I've had people be like, oh, I'm just one person, blah, blah, blah. It's the corporations who are really making the biggest polluted mess. And I'm like, you're right. Corporations are really the worst culprits. I'm not going to list names, but, but everything we do matters, saying no to that straw matters. Like it just, seeing in the mornings, like all the like the plastic clamshells for every lunch that gets sent out to all these businesses every day, and I'm like, oh my god, we could do so much better. Why aren't they using biodegradable packaging? And it's just looking for businesses that do, because you can find businesses that actually do support the planet, and supporting those businesses and restaurants. And it's refreshing in Santa Cruz too, because Santa Cruz has like all kinds of almost every takeout container is going to be compostable. We're here, I'm like, I don't want my leftovers if I forgot my container, because I don't always remember my container to bring my leftovers home in. I'm not perfect, but I try.
And I think that's what something like a lot of the community needs to like take on. Is just, I feel like once they get into wanting to be more sustainable and like environmentalist, and it's like you don't have to be perfect. Like you're gonna forget your straw, and it's okay. And I feel like people, it's like, oh, I tried, I give up, I'm not gonna make a difference, you know what I mean? But it does make a difference. It does. Yeah, if you just don't give up.
Yeah, just don't give up. Exactly. Just making mistakes is human. And just learning and adapting to new habits takes time.
Oh yeah,
it really does.
It's like you're not gonna learn everything overnight. It's obviously gonna take time. It's just little steps at a time.
Just being gentle on ourselves and and our earth at the same time.
Yeah. Well, With that being said, thank you so much for joining this podcast. I had a great time learning more about how Source Zero came around. And if the community members are interested, make sure to know that it's located in downtown San Jose. And there's other zero waste stores as well that we'll be linking in the show notes. Is there anything else you would like to add before closing off?
No, I appreciate this. Thank you. And yeah, this is great. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to our episode of the SJSU Green Campus podcast, a podcast by the San Jose State University Office of Sustainability. To learn more about these topics discussed in today's show, we'll check out the episode description for various links. And then if you want to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SJSU Green Campus to stay connected. And for more information, you can check out the SJSU Office of Sustainability on our website. And thank you so much, Ashley, for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Grizel.